And we are back, Sam and Joe, with you ahead of this UFC 310. The last numbered card of the year goes down in Las Vegas this weekend. Alejandro Pantoja and UFC newcomer Kai Asakura in the main event. We've got a co-main of undefeated Someone Zoas to go between Shavkat Rakhmonov and Ian Machado. Gary, the card is filled with intriguing fights. We've got Cyril Gane's return against Alexander Volkov on the main card as well. Lots to discuss. Plus, we're going to do our UFC 310 draft picks, where we both pick 5 fighters each from the card and go head to head. But first, let's say good afternoon to Mr. Joseph Harrison. Show me the money. Joe, how's it going?
Yeah, good pal. I'm a bit ill, so I apologise to all the listeners if my voice sounds even worse than it normally does, because I'm a bit grogged up at the moment, but I think that's the weather. I think most people are a bit tough, but no, excited. It's finally another big card. I'm really, really excited for this one, Sam. Yeah, it's good, isn't it? I like I said, I was losing a bit of thing in the summer, as I've talked about before, but the last few are a bit as good. Loads of exciting fights, loads of big names. So yeah, excited to get stuck into it.
Scores on the doors before we start from UFC 309, our last draft pick show. We were just discussing this briefly off air, because I think I've officially 4-3 on it, but you had a fight fall off. This fight, Chris Weidman's fight against Eric Anders, fell off at the very last second. You had Weidman in there. So are we officially scoring this? Is it a victory to me, or is this a carryover and we're playing 2 cards at once?
I'm calling the carryover. I say we both stay. I say we both stay away from it on our picks for tonight. Carry it over, and we can. You can go 2 up on me if Weidman loses tonight, Sam.
Oh, go on. I'm game if you are. Then we'll do the carryover. I thought I'd have another cheeky win. So all to play for a double rollover for this one. UFC 309. Go and check it out on Proper Sport. If you want to see our picks from last time, we always post up the picks on there. But just before we get started, the UFC have announced the next pay-per-view card to start 2025, if I get my ears right, and it's an absolute cracker. Let's put it up on the screen there. Some absolute superb fights. Islam Makhachev, Arman Sarukian 2 headlining that one. We've got Merab Divashvili against Umar Nurmagomedov as well on the card. Prohachka against Hill, an interesting light heavyweight fight. And plenty of fun matchups on there as well. What are you making of it, Joe?
Yeah, brilliant. They've even got young stars, Peyton Talbot coming up. Obviously, Gelton Almeida we were all talking about before his recent losses. Johnny Walker's always exciting. So yeah, from the bottom up, really, it's all exciting. And then we get to see Islam versus Arman, the rematch. After a couple of years now, both obviously Islam's gone on to be one of the most dominant champions we've seen in the lightweight division. Arman's coming. They had a great fight before. Yeah, super exciting. And then obviously chucking Merab Umar there for your loyal, die-hard MMA fans, it's a banger. But for the casual fans who like to see knockout, maybe not so. But you've got fights all around, all exciting. Like I said, really good, and I love Money Moicano as well. So to add him onto it versus Daniil, who was going on a big push a couple of years ago, yeah, every single one's a banger there, Sam. Couldn't be more happy to start January.
Yeah, interesting fights, and yeah, interested to see Moicano on there. Obviously rumoured to fight Paddy Pimblett in London in March, but jumping on this one in January. And of course, we've got that main and co-main, which is going to be a busy night for Coach Khabib, who is going to go back-to-back in title fights in the co-main and main event. I think only Trevor Whitman has been as busy on some of these nights, but that's an interesting little dynamic for this one. Khabib training both fighters, obviously Umar and Islam as well. And what have you made of the light heavyweight stuff? We've seen Jamal Hill. I don't know if you've seen the clip that's been going around of confronting Alex Pereira in the Apex and getting chucked a pair of gloves and immediately backing down. But he's putting in lots of talk with Prohachka as well. Both lads having a bit of back and forth on Twitter. So that should be an interesting fight headed into a potential rematch with Alex Pereira down the line.
Yeah. I can't understand Jamal Hill because he's I think, to be fair, first time in a while I like Darren Till's take on it. Darren Till said, "I don't get Jamal. He's a brilliant fighter. He's got a pretty good legacy. He's definitely got a chance of beating absolutely anyone, even Alex Pereira. I think he was doing okay before the ref thing. Whether you believe what he did with the ref and Pereira diving in before they could get their distance right, I don't know. But the fact he's calling everyone out, then backing down. He argues. He's got a Twitter argument a day against a random fan. So I don't know. I don't quite get it. But you know what? It's enjoyable. Maybe he's trying to sell the fight. He's trying to get himself a bigger name. I just think you could, if he was going to do it, you can do it a bit more impressively because he's not brilliant at the tweets and he's not, like you said, his little call outs, these little turning ups. He's not really backed himself. He's not really backed himself to do anything about it. So strange one from Jamal, but you know what makes it more exciting, adds a bit of drama to it all, and hopefully someone can give Pereira a decent contest because at the moment he's just steamrolling absolutely everyone in that division.
Yeah, going to be interesting. And you mentioned Darren Till. I've just seen this before. I don't know how true it is, but Tommy Fury has been on Instagram. Apparently, this is courtesy of IFL TV. I've not had time to jump on Tommy Fury's stories. Don't think I follow him, to be honest. But apparently, he's saying that the Till fight is off. I don't know how much truth is in it. But obviously, Darren, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just reading it before. He's basically, Tommy's basically said, "I'm backing out the fight." So if you follow Darren Till at all, he's saying he's gonna, if he is struggling against Tommy in the later rounds, he's gonna wheel kick his head off and say all these stuff about doing MMA. He'll just take him down and smash his and doing all this. And then Darren's come out and said, "Mate, I'm just trying to sell the fight. You can't be that embarrassing that you believed it. In the contract itself, it says if I do anything other than box, I'll lose my whole fight purse. I'm just trying to sell the fight." Tommy, you're an embarrassment. So, yeah, it'd be interesting. Certainly, again, made it interesting. Darren sold that one. Whether Tommy does actually back out or not, I don't know. But Darren Till is certainly not happy about it. If you see his tweets on it a couple of hours ago.
Yeah, Pantoja season is upon us, and it'd be interesting to see if that fight does go ahead. Hopefully, it does. Would be interesting to see Darren Till after a couple of years, really, where he's not really done too much. Finally, get this boxing run underway. But let's get our draft picks underway for UFC 310. Joe, as ever, run us through the rules for anyone joining us for the first time as we go head to head in these big cards.
So if you like your American sport, draft pick, we'll do a snake draft. We do 5 rounds. We both get to pick out a fighter. Obviously, it's betting based, so we talk about little angles we've got. If we believe they'll get a knockout submission, we chuck them in. But we both pick essentially 5 fighters, 5 rounds. At the end of the night, we tally up the scores. Whoever gets the most correct goes up on the leaderboard. As Sam said at the start, we are drawing. We normally do whoever's losing picks first. Well, we might have to do rock paper scissors or something, Sam, here, because we are drawing. Sam's one up on the last event, but we're doing a carryover because I picked Chris Weidman. The fight got cancelled. It's got moved to tonight, so we're technically with two events in here. I need Weidman to win to get the draw. If he doesn't win, Sam could go to up tonight. So yeah, five rounds, 5 picks, 5 fighters. We'll talk about the bets all in between. Let's get going.
Yep. Go on then. You go first. You had the bad luck of Weidman last time out. I'll open the doors for you.
I'll start off with the co-main event, Sam, and it hurts me to do it. It really does. But I think, as you said, we've got to see 1-0 go. I'm a proud Englishman. but I'm not that proud because I'm picking Shavkat Rakhmonov to beat Ian Garry. I love Ian. He gets a load of hate. He's had some questionable things if you look into his. But you know what? All of that aside, I do really like it. I rate this Shavkat that highly. I think he's got one of the most well-rounded games in MMA. He's 18-0. I think he's wins this, gets that title fight next. He's up there with the best of them. His stand-up's good. He's got great grappling. He's been tested a bit, but I think we've still got more. I think he's a title challenger to come. Ian, on the other hand, I think he can get to that title fight. I don't think he's going to do it beating Shavkat Rakhmonov, though. I think Ian's a couple of years away. We saw him obviously wrestle MVP because MVP beat him in the stand-up. I think Ian should be. It should have been closer on the stand-up in my view for Ian because his grappling isn't that good. It's all right. Obviously, it looked good against MVP, but I think against anyone, we'll see against Shavkat whether what standard his grappling is at. But I think Shavkat's too well-rounded, too good at the wrestling, too good at the grappling. He's got brilliant cage control, and I think Shavkat gets the win here. I don't think it's a finish. I think this goes to decision, but I think Shavkat edges this one, Sam. I think I'll take the 1-0 win. So, but I do, again, as a proud Englishman, it hurts me to do it.
A proud Englishman not supporting the Irish.
I know. I'm sad.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I've kind of gone the same way. I think when I've been doing my stuff elsewhere this week, I think Shavkat just might have too much. I think Gary will come with the good game plan as he always does, and it may go long. But I'm going for Shavkat to get the finish late on. As ruthless as he is, just that one opening. I think this might play out similar to the Jeff Neal one where he got the finish in that third round. Neal had good success on the feet. He was stuffing his takedowns. Shavkat was 0-4 on that night, but he still found a way. Standing guillotine in the third rear naked choke, in the third round, and finished him on that night. So I'm seeing a similar thing. I think Gary will perform well, but there will be that one opening that Shavkat, he's just too ruthless and too strong when he gets older. Yeah. So yeah, I'm thinking a late finish for Rakhmonov. So I won't be taking you on that one. I think I'm going to play a little bit tactical maybe here, and I'm going to go early doors. The first fight of the night, I'm going to go for a fighter I picked last time. He made his heavyweight debut last time, I think in Abu Dhabi. I think it was Kennedy Nchukwu. Obviously a light heavyweight. Didn't have the best of form as a light heavyweight in the UFC, but he's made this move up to heavyweight. And I think when you're a big guy like him, he's got the stature. He's a fit guy. He's got a good engine on him, Kennedy. And I think against some of these lesser heavyweights who maybe don't have that, like Lucas Brzeski, who is facing here, he can make a quick turnaround and go 2-0. As a UFC heavyweight. Brzeski, we last saw, we were there in Manchester. Mick Parkin, again, early doors on the card, getting that finish in the first round. And I think a similar thing could well happen here. I think Kennedy, he's bulking up to heavyweight. Chris Barnett injured himself early doors last time, didn't he? I think even in the... Was it during Buffer's introductions? He jumped up and did his ankle or Achilles or something, and then Kennedy just battered him for a round. But I think Lucas Brzeski, who's 1-4 in the UFC, could be a bit of a punch bag here. And I think for someone like Nchukwu, who I think will do all right and get into the top 8 at heavyweight, and I think he'll go on a little bit of a run here until he comes up against one of the bigger boys of the division. So I'm going to go for Kennedy to get the win and start the night off in style.
Like it, Sam. Yeah, I'll just comment on it's my illness. I'm a bit ill. I meant a proud Britishman. I do apologise. I know I said Englishman. I've just realised what I said on the Ian Garry comments. But yeah, as a proud man who likes these fairly local fighters, not British. Sorry, so not English. Sorry, Sam. But a bit of my cold getting to my head there. But yeah, I like your one. Like I said, Bredsky. To be fair, we were a bit stuck on this one. I remember when we were talking about Mick Parkin, we didn't know because Bredsky's had a couple of okay, but Mick Parkin knocked him out round one. It's a pretty quick turnaround in general to say he got knocked out, TKO'd. Kennedy, like you said, he's got the size, he's got the athleticism. A lot of these heavyweights in the deeper parts of the UFC are not brilliant. I'm not convinced, and I think Kennedy is a legitimate fighter who's moving up. Yeah, I'm with you all along, Sam. So I'm not gonna be taking you on there. But I believe it's your pick, Sam. We're doing the snake draft. I've got to be fair. I can't have first choice every time. It's your pick going into round two.
Okay, so round two, I'm gonna go for. I think. I've got my little list in front of me, but they're all kind of much of a muchness. Do you know, I'm going to go for, I might regret this, but I'm going to go for Dominic Reyes. We saw him come back with a win in the summer. He's obviously had a torrid time since he lost to John Jones. Should have got the decision victory that night, in my opinion, and many people's opinions as well. But then he went on a horrible little run. He was stopped by Prochazka. He was... who else was he stopped by? He was stopped by Ryan Spann, wasn't he, with the jab? And he lost to someone else as well. It's gone out of my head for a second. But yeah, Reyes, he came out, didn't he, ahead of the last fight, which he won, and said that he had a number of injuries. There were a lot of things going on with him, Dom Reyes. He had quite a weird illness, like a blood disorder or something like that, that was kind of, he was still kind of going for it, and he was training and he was having these illnesses, but then he'd still get a fight booked and didn't quite clear himself of all these little niggles that was going on, and then came back in the summertime, got a knockout win against Dustin Jacoby, TKO win there in the first round. That was in June, and he kind of looked a bit more like himself. Obviously, he's a talented fighter. Before he fought Jones, you know, he was unbeaten as a pro, unbeaten in the UFC, but he's had this little run. He obviously lost to Blachowicz as well, which was the first fight after Jones. But he had that little run, and it seems like he's over it now. My worry potentially is that, you know, that chin still might get exposed, but up against Anthony Smith, who's not had the best time of it at all. When you listen to him, I listened to his media day interview this week, and he just. I appreciate he's had some personal tragedy with his jiu-jitsu coach passing away a few weeks ago, but I think it's every time in the last few fights that you listen to Anthony Smith and you just think that the guy's he says he still wants it, but it just doesn't come across at all on camera that this guy, he just seems like he's just carrying on for the sake of it. For me, he's had a couple of wins in there. He beat Vito Petrino earlier this year. He beat Ryan Spann last year as well. But in between those, you know, he is losing and he is getting exposed really as a top end light heavyweight. So for me, Anthony Smith, he is on the way out. And if Dominic Reyes is going to be Reyes 2.0, he has to put away Smith this weekend. And I'm going to take the chance that he does.
Yeah, I'm with you again. He was going to be later on. I'm surprised. No offense, I'm surprised you picked him so early. I get you with the Smith line, though. I've said that before, and I think we both said it in the last time we fought, where I got it wrong. But I think Reyes it seems to be hungry. It seems to be at it. I think it's his fight to it. I think he'll get a knockout here, Sam. I'm going to call it. I'm going my bet. One of my bets of the night's Reyes TKO or KO, and I think Smith's on his way out. I think he's had his fight win. Go get yourself some money.
Yeah, that's why I went with it a little earlier. I think I've got a few there, much for muchness, but I think a couple might go a decision. But I think this one isn't. I think this one's going to go within the distance. But I just can't see Smith knocking him out. And I think Reyes' takedown defense is pretty solid. He showed that against John Jones. It is just the chin that has been touched by the last three opponents before Jacoby. But two of those were the top guys. Ryan Spann, I think that was kind of in the midst of this mysterious illness that he had, and I think he can dispatch of Smith this weekend. Sorry to say, Anthony.
My pick now, Sam, round 2, and I'm going Brian Battle versus Randy Brown. I thought this was I thought you'd go for this one. I think this is one of the bigger favourites. Yeah, one of the bigger favourites. Obviously, Battle looked very impressive in his last fight. He's 12-2. He's only 30 years old. He's on the come up. He insulted all of France in his last fight, had a brilliant post-fight. Well, not if you're from France, but a brilliant post-fight interview. He's got that star name. Randy Brown's been there, done that, and not got the T-shirt, as I put it. Sadly, I know it's all respect to him, but he's when he fights these contenders, he just always loses against these ones that can get him into them, like near them rankings. And I think we know where he's at. He's 35, Randy Brown, 34. Apologies. Battle's too good on the stand-up, too fit, too strong, too athletic. Brown can get the knockout, but we've not seen Battle's chin being wobbled like that. I think if Battle had more of a dodgy chin, I'd be a bit more nervous, but I don't see it. I don't see it getting wobbled by Brown. I think Battle's got too much, and yeah, a nice easy pick, 2-0 up there, Sam. I think after you've let me take Battle.
Yeah, I think that's a decent one. Yeah, I've been picking Battle this week. I think he does walk him down. I think Randy Brown is still a little dangerous. That's why I was, just didn't go for him in my second go there, Battle. But yeah, I think that's a nice solid pick. I think he'll walk him down. But there is that chance with his style that someone that does hit as hard as Brown could get him out of there. But I think if you look at Brown's stats, he has slowed down on the knockouts. He is kind of going more to decisions these days. So, yeah, I think that's a solid pick. And I think Brian Battle, again, getting on the mic, causing a stir and looking forward, should he get the win, see him in 2025 in a big fight.
And it's back to me, Sam. Round 3, back to me, the snake draft. I get my next pick. And I'm going to take another one here. We're about to see a retirement. We're about to see a retirement on a loss. What a legend of a sport! But it's Chase Hooper's day. The UFC have been a fan for him for a while. I think they're feeding him to. I think they're feeding Clay Guida to him. Guida's 42. He's 5'6" compared to Hooper's 6'1". He's obviously had more mileage in the tank than maybe any other fighter that's fighting in the UFC currently. I think this is his one. It's his second fight of the night, so it'd be nice and early. I think they'll get him a bit of a retirement package. He's been an absolute legend, had as many fights of the nights as I think anyone. I think he was number one, but I think Charles might have recently took over him. I might be completely wrong there, but I think he was number one in fights of the nights, post-fight things. He's had some legendary fights. He might be. I think he is in the Hall of Fame for one of his fights already. But yeah, Chase Hooper, it's his time. He's been through his thing. He's still only 25. He's just beat Vyacheslav Borshev, which Borshev's not a bad fighter. He's beat Jordan Levitt. He's good. His last loss was in a while ago now. Actually, I thought it was more. His last was a while ago. He's a great fighter. He's a bit weak still, but obviously, I think he's coming. He was still young, and he's won his last couple. He's on the up. They rate him really highly. They want him to get the win against an old name like Clay Guida here, and I think this is to be honest, Sam, I think it's another banker. The only thing I'd struggle for the betting. I think I'd put him in the parlays where you add 3 or 4 or 5 fighters and make your picks, but struggle for the betting because, to be fair to Clay Guida, is a hard man to get out of there. I think Hooper probably gets the decision victory here or a submission. I don't think you're knocking Guida out, but Guida's got brilliant wrestling, so you don't know. But I think Hooper's got too much. I'll go the decision here, but other than that, I'm not too confident. I'm confident he'll get a good win and take me to 3-0 on the draft on the night. I'm going safe, Sam. I played risky the last couple of events, and I need to get back on that winning column. So I'm taking Chase Hooper, and I'm going 3-0.
There we go. Straight back from Joe. I'm going to go in round 3. Again, I think I've I've made a mess of my tactics this time round. I've been doing all right recently, but I'm going to go for, which I think is a similar fight, this one, to the one that you had with Battle and Brown. It's opening up the main card. It's Nate Landwehr against Doohoo Choi. I'm going to go for Nate Landwehr to get the win in this one. Going to be a crazy fight opening the main card. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about Weidman and Aljamain Sterling being on the prelims, but I think this one is justified to open up the main card. It is going to be a madness, Landwehr's style, just so aggressive. It's fun to watch. Bonus machine. He's got, from his 5 wins, he's got 4 bonuses. So, he's an exciting watch. His only defeat recently, anyway, was to Dan Ige in 2023, and stepping up to Ige is always a tough fight. But I think he's in that mix kind of below a Dan Ige, and lost a bit of momentum. But did bounce back last time out. He beat Jamal Emma's TKO win in March. That was a wild first round. And that was my concern with this one, because Emma's did cut him open twice in that first round, Landwehr. But like a battle, he just walks you down and he doesn't take no for an answer. And he's going to be in your face. So whereas Doohoo Choi has made a comeback this year, he was out for something like 3 years before he came back. Got a draw with Carl Nelson in February. I did get a TKO win over Billy Agilo in July in the summer. So he is getting a little bit of form back here himself, Doohoo Choi, but he's 4-3-1 in the UFC. His 4 wins have come by stoppage, but he has been knocked out twice as well. So this is the risk that I'm taking, that he can knock you out. But I think Landwehr's tough, and I think he will be the one pressing the action here, and I think he's going to get the win. So it's a bit of a risky one, but I'm with Nate the Train to get the win.
Yeah, he's looked decent. He's looked decent, Nate, hasn't he? The only thing that worries me is his age. Is, like I said, he's at the age where he needs to get on the win streak now. He's looked impressive against David Onana a couple of years ago. Obviously, like you said, he lost to Danny Ige. That's a big step up. Austin Lingo won comfortably there. And then Jamal Emmett. I don't know, Sam. I don't know. I'm not as convinced as you are, to be honest. I don't mind Doohoo Choi. Sorry, I'm reading it off the page there, but Doohoo Choi. I like Doohoo Choi. Nate has looked good. He's 36, so you're right. It's now or never, really. He has to get this win. Like you said, the odds are with him to win, but I'm still round 3, Sam. I think that's an early pick. I think that's an early pick for around end of round 3 pick.
Yeah, I think there's some close fights on this card where you could be tipped either way. But yeah, I'm going for him. Come on, Nate.
back
to me, isn't it? Oh God. Do you know what? I'm going to go for a rematch on this card. It's a featured bout at heavyweight, and I'm going to go for Cyril Gane. I think he's had a lot of stick. Obviously, the John Jones talk and Jones returning and how he finished Cyril in the first round was obviously really disappointing for him. But coming up against Volkov again, I think there's more left in the tank. I think we've seen Volkov 2.0 over the last 4 fights, and he's got this win streak that he's been in great form since growing the hair. He looks like a baddie from a 90s movie. Yeah, he should be fighting Sylvester Stallone or Bruce Willis rather than Cyril Gane this weekend. But I think Gane, I've just listened to him this week. I was a little concerned. He has had a bit of stick as well about filming the movie and things like that, but they have been in various different little training camps across the last year. We saw him beat Sergei Spivak in September in Paris last year. Not been seen in the octagon since, which is a slight concern. But Volkov was injured, wasn't he, in October when this fight was supposed to happen in Abu Dhabi. So Gane again has potentially had a much cleaner double training camp ahead of this one than Volkov, who I think has been in good form, but then I look at some of his wins, and he's beating guys that probably I would expect Volkov to beat, possibly with the exception of Pavlovich, which was his last win. But again, I think we saw a lot about Pavlovich in that fight, coming back from the Tom Aspinall knockout, and he looked just like he had that round in him, that if he's not knocking you out in the first round, that if you can have the right tactics and keep the distance well, which obviously Volkov at 6'7" is a tough guy to hit, that you can, if you stay clear of him, that he's going to gas. And I think that Garn coming back, as technical as he is, in the first fight, he came on strong and won the last three. Volkov started well, but I think over the 3 rounds, that was Garn's first 5-round fight. And obviously he's kind of quite green to MMA, isn't he? He took up to the game late. So he's kind of learned on the job, Cyril Garn. And I think he's going to come back a bit of a different beast this weekend. And he's got the speed, he's got the athleticism. And I think he's going to get a win and remind everyone who Cyril Garn is this weekend.
I like it, Sam. You know what? I've picked some safe picks. I've got to go interesting. We've got to make this. We've got to have some sort of competition in there. We can't all be pally. I'm going to go Alexander Volkov. I'm going to take you on, Sam. Round 4, toe for toe. I'm going Volkov. Volkov's been one of my favourite. I think I said it the last time we covered Volkov. Must have been when he fought Pavlovich. I like Volkov. I always have done. I think he got unlucky early on in his career when Derek Brunson, obviously, Derek Brunson. My brain's got my illness. I'm not on top form. Derek Lewis, yeah, sorry, Sam. Yeah, Derek Lewis knocked him out in them final few seconds on that McGregor night, and he had this big. Volkov had a few unlucky losses in a row, and you've seen him just beat Pavlovich, who everyone were calling an absolute monster, unbeatable, this athletic freak. He's got through that. He's eked out the decision on that one. I think he's going to do the same thing again. I think he wants that title fight. I think he's close to deserving a fight against Tom. He's got this long range. His thighs. He's got best pair of legs on a nearly 7-foot man I've ever seen. And that said respectfully, I think he's got great kicks. Like you said, he keeps that range well, and I think it takes someone that is a pure knockout artist like obviously a Derek Lewis to really get him. I'd say all these others, he's beaten Taito Ivasa, which by submission beat Alexander Romanov. He's got through it. Rosenstruik lost to obviously Aspinall by submission, but I think he's coming back. Other than that, obviously his last loss other than Aspinall was Cyril Garn, that 5-rounder by decision. He's on the run. I really rate him, Sam. I'm picking Volkov. I think he's tweaked it out. He's getting it sorted. All them little finishing issues where he'd lose in that final round, he's got rid of now. He's eked out a few decisions, got a few submissions, wins. Whatever mental block it was is now over. Volkov beats Garn and gets the rematch versus Tom, or gets one of the other big fat. But he's fought Pavlovich. If he beats Garn here, there's not many more for him to fight other than the title fight.
Yeah, I do like Volkov, but I just think Garn is. I think people are forgetting a little bit, Joe Rogan style, that how good he actually can be when he's on form. So I'm going to go for Cyril. Go on, round 5. That comes back to you, does it?
Yeah, it's round 5. It's back to me, and I'm going to take on the main event. No, and I'm going to go. This is why I've left it till round 5, because it's my least confident pick of the one, but I'm going to attack it. I'm going to go Kai Asakura. That face-off they did last night, Sam. He's ginormous for the weight division. He absolutely swallowed up Pantoja on the stage. Obviously, we know it's not a bodybuilding competition. It's not a best body competition, but I think Kai Asakura is big. He's a big man, and a lot bigger than I thought he was. He's 5'7". Obviously, they weigh the same, but it looks like he must cut a bit. He's got a bigger reach as well. He's one of them where you're like, I don't know how he's making that division. He's obviously 21-4, former champion in his last promotion that he was in, which was Rising. He was the big champion there. He's beat a lot of the big names. They're giving him the title fight straight away. It's a risky one by the UFC, but he might be the man to do it. He looks impressive. Yeah, I'm going Kai Asakura. I think that division's getting a bit staler now. There's been 500 different rematches, fights. We've seen a lot of the same fighters fight each other. I like this new blood coming in. That's why they're giving him the title fight straight away, because they've just not got the people. I think if he wins, he'll bleed some new life into that division, and I think the division needs it. Sam, I love Pantoja. He's been violent. He's always provided good fights, in my opinion. But it needs someone new in. Hopefully, based on his size, based on his athleticism, Kai Asakura gets the win here. But as I said, my least confident pick out of the lot. But I wanted to take on the main event, and I'm going to, and I think he gets it done.
Yeah, I think I probably just edge with him. I'm not sure this is a real interesting fact. Obviously, we've not had the eye test of Asakura in the UFC to kind of just get to see where he's at, with the octagon, moving over from being in a ring in Rise, and how do you adapt from that? Obviously, he was a bantamweight at Rise, and now he drops down to flyweight at the UFC. Like you said, he does look huge in there, and it kind of reminds me a little bit, which is why I favor him a bit like. Potentially this one, but like the Usyk fight last time out, and Usyk's obviously a bigger guy for the division. He's got good stand up, not as powerful you would imagine as Asakura is, but he gave Pantoja some real problems on the feet, and it was only Pantoja's grappling, in those final rounds where he managed to grind out that decision win in Brazil. Yeah, I kind of lean maybe towards Asakura a little bit, just because of that the fact that he's got the potential to bring this power. But at the same time, Pantoja is one of those guys where he's got the huge chin. He's never been stopped. But we said that sat here about Max Holloway against Ilia Topuria earlier in the year, and look what happened there. So yeah, I'm with you. I think that Asakura's maybe got the power. Like you said, he looked huge last night on the stage between the two. We'll see him at the weigh-ins later, but I'd be taking a chance on him as well. So I'm not taking you on with Pantoja. So I'm gonna try and I don't know. I've like I said, I think I've got my tactics a little wrong here, but I'm gonna go for Themba Gorimbo. I think stepping up to this one, taking over. From Nick Diaz, Vicente Luque has waited for this Nick Diaz fight a couple of times, and now it's supposed to happen in the summer, wasn't it? I think in that Saudi Arabia card, I think it was. It didn't happen then. It's not happening now. We saw some of the pictures of Nick a while ago. Didn't look in the in the greatest. Nick, so we'll excuse the pun, but yeah, hopefully he's doing all right, Nick Diaz. Now, to be honest, I didn't want to see him back in the UFC anyway. Vicente Luque, has been a great servant, a real violent guy at welterweight, a real fan favorite, but he's had his own issues, and I think Themba Gorimbo coming in here he's very grapple heavy. He got the win over Nico Price last time out. Wasn't the most interesting fight to watch, but he's obviously on an upward curve. He made that thing in the press conference a while ago now, wasn't it? Probably last year sometime, and The Rock got hold of it and bought him the house, and the whole story of him not having much money, something like $13 left in his bank account. Real rags to now riches story in the UFC, where he's on a 4-fight win streak at the moment, and I think he looks like the kind of guy that's always in training. Hearing from him this week, I think in the Embedded, where he was talking about not being happy with his last performance, and having a bit of booing and jeering from the crowd, and wants to kind of put that right this weekend. And there's no better guy to put that right against than someone like Vicente Luque, who is going to try and bring it. But I think Gorimbo can real mix everything in hopefully this weekend and put it all together. And get the win over Luque. He's been a great servant in the UFC. He was beaten TKO by Joaquin Buckley earlier this year. Obviously, we'll see Buckley next week against Colby Covington. He had a win over RDA last year. Vicente Luque. But before that, he'd lost to Jeff Neal, Bilal Mohammed, no disgrace there. But I think, as we said earlier, there's kind of new blood coming through in different divisions. You said it about flyweight, and I think Garimbo, although maybe he's not the most exciting guy, will have the game plan here to beat Vicente Luque at this stage of his career. So as much as I'd like to see Vicente Luque roll it back one more time and have some fun fights. So maybe after this, those kind of fights, maybe not a Nick Diaz, but those kind of legends matchups would be better suited for Vicente Luque if he's got a couple of fights left in the UFC. But for me, Garimbo takes this one.
Like it, yeah. That's the draft. We've picked 5 fights. Do you want to just run over who we picked again, Sam, and then
yeah, if I can remember my picks anyway. If I just quickly scribble them down, I went for Canadian Chekwu early doors, opening up the card against Lucas Brzeski. Second fight, heavyweight, quick turnaround for him, and I think he can get it done. Again, moving up from light heavyweight, I went for Dom Reyes as well. Again, I've got a few picks I'm not 100% certain with this time around. I think I've got my tactics a little wrong on these picks, but Reyes to get rid of Anthony Smith within the 3 rounds. I think Reyes looked a lot better last time out, and Smith, yeah, I just don't know where his head's at anymore. So Dom Reyes for me, and hopefully he can march on to some big fights at light heavyweight next year. Nate Landwehr to get the win over Doohoo Choi. Should be an exciting fight. I think Cyril Gann will win the rematch with Volkov and go 2-0. Gann, I think people are overlooking him a little bit, given the kind of John Jones talk over the last couple of months or so, and obviously the way that he beat him. But I think in this stand-up battle, I think Gann, with his athleticism and speed, will defeat Volkov, and then that good run of Volkov and the lovely hair and Themba Garimbo, as we just touched on, to beat Vicente Luque.
Yeah, I like it. My first pick, I've gone Shavkat Rakhmonov. I think, like I said, it upsets me as a UK MMA fan. I did say England fan because I'm a bit run down, but UK MMA fan, it upsets me because I do like Ian Gary a lot, but I think Shavkat's the real deal, and I think he's going to be one of the next champions of that welterweight division. Obviously, hopefully he gets the title shot after this. Then I've gone with Chase Hooper. I think he goes and beats Clay Guida pretty comfortably. Like I said, sadly, I think they'll probably do a highlight package, I imagine. Legend of the sport. Someone who, a name that they're trying to build in Chase Hooper is still 25 and on a good win streak. I think that's the one. Then I picked Brian Battle as well against Randy Brown. Similar story here. Randy Brown's never quite done it for me. Had some great wins. I'd gotten some winning streaks, but then lost in them fights that really punch him into the top 15s of the divisions. Battle is that man who's going to punch himself in. He's got a well-rounded game, very fit, keeps going, and I think he'll just be too much to handle for Randy Brown. Then I think they're my safe picks. I decided to take you on next, Sam, and go with Alexander Volkov because you went Gane. I've always been a Volkov fan. I think I went against him in the Pavlovich one. I think that's what it was, and I was disappointed in myself because I think when I was breaking it down, I said how much of a fan of Volkov I am. Love his length, love the way he handles his range, his well-rounded fighter. As I said, best legs in heavyweight division. The power on them is just crazy, and I think he's just that man who's going to fight again. He's probably got to fight Aspinall again, who obviously lost to Gane, as you said. Bit nervous about, but you know what? I wanted to take you on, and I'm taking it with a man who I've always liked in Volkov. And then my final one, I'm hoping there's new blood in that flyweight division. All respect to Pantoja, who's been a brilliant fighter the last 5-6 years, had some amazing fights. But I'm hoping Kai Asakura is this man, and I'm again not super confident because I've not watched loads of him. But in the weigh-ins, he looked ginormous. He looked a lot bigger than Pantoja, who was swallowing it up. And as I said, It's not a bodybuilding competition, but with that size, he's dropping back down in weight to where he should be fighting. He couldn't do all the time in rising. He's now doing it now in UFC in his proper weight division, looking huge, and he's coming off a big win over Juan Archuleta, who obviously was very well regarded outside of UFC. And yeah, I'm hoping he beats Pantoja and we get a new fresh champion in that flyweight cauldron of fighters that we've had for the last 5 or 6 years.
Nice, I like it. So there we go. That is our 5v5 fighter draft picks for UFC 310. Let's have a quick look at the card before we go. Plenty of great fights on there. Obviously, Alexander Pantoja and Kai Sakura headline. Shavkat Rakhmonov and Ian Machado Gary fighting for the right to face Bilal Muhammad next year. In that co-main event and the featured heavyweight bout between Cyril Gane and Alexander Volkov is head-to-head this weekend. But that's us done for this week. Potentially, we normally save these drafts for the numbered cards, but seeing on what the scores are like, obviously we're still playing the last one because we've decided to roll over Chris Weidman, Eric Anders. Joe went for Chris Weidman last time out. The fight fell off at the last minute, so we're still playing on the last draft as well. So depending on what our scores were, we could potentially, Joe, move on to the final card of the year next week as Colby Covington faces Joaquin Buckley, which is an interesting end of year card, potentially setting up some storylines for next year. Obviously, if Kai Sakura wins, he's fought Manel Cap twice in Rising. They were 1-1 between each other. And there's a few more interesting storylines potentially off the back of there, and none more so than Covington against Buckley, and who the winner and indeed loser of that fight will go on and face in 2025. So we'll see. Are we in or are we?
We're in, Sam. We've got to do the last one. I'm in with you. I'll be watching it. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So we have an official draft show locked in for next week, but enjoy the fights this weekend. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, give us a like on Facebook or on X as well. The first time actually we've gone live on X for the show this time round, and we'll be back next week. Enjoy UFC 310.
See you soon.